Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be reviewing The Lighthouse, a movie about both smelly sweaters and smelly beards. We're going to get to that in a little bit, but first up, joining me tonight, looking like she just came from an art gallery opening in Soho, wherever that is. Please welcome Cece to the show.
We have art galleries in Atlanta. It's a pretty sophisticated city these days.
Yeah, but I haven't seen movies about them in the last year or so. I didn't know what they were called. Next up on the show, coming to us from Chicago, Illinois, land of, Tommy Boy. That's where Tommy Boy's in Illinois, right?
Yeah.
Dan Aykroyd, Ray Zielinski. I saw that movie a couple times.
Yeah. Fun fact, I just learned recently, Matt Foley, the motivational speaker from Saturday Night Live, actually is based on a minister right here in the town I live in.
Oh, God.
Yeah, a real guy.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the show, Joe.
Thanks, man. It's really great to be here. Did you just say Soho, whatever that is?
It was a joke. Like, I understand where Soho is, Joe, but it might as well be like whatever. A fantasy to me. It's not a place I'm ever gonna go.
I get it. It's like you've probably been there.
It's a construct, Yeah. More than a real thing. And joining us lastly tonight, before we continue this philosophical debate on what Soho is, he joined us a few weeks ago, and what we learned about this guy is that he's Canadian. He's a lawyer, and he makes his own bow ties. But tonight, he's joining us to talk about The Lighthouse because, fun fact, even though it's set in New England, it was actually shot in beautiful Canada. And so he's here tonight to wow us with the song of his people. Please welcome Adam back to the show.
Hey there, buddies. Get her done there. Drinking. Just representing my Canadian peeps.
And it's specifically Nova Scotia. Do I have that right?
Yes. So I'm living in Nova Scotia.
You're there
and
right now.
It was filmed in Cape Fortune, out there in Yarmouth, down around the South Coast. So, a lot of people got to meet Willem Dafoe and Rob Pattinson. They were just out at the bars. They ended up rehearsing a lot of the movie in a hotel in Halifax. People just were like harassing Willem Dafoe in like a Pete's while he's trying to buy his food, and he's so short, and there were like 15 people around him, but he signed every autograph.
Oh, what a delight. Now, when you say Pete's,
what the
it's a
fuck?
Canadian
chain.
thing?
It's a chain. There's an evil old man that owns a bunch of grocery stores, and they're it's like a Trader Joe's.
Oh, it's a
They're
grocery
very
store. Okay.
Well, it's a Trader Pete's, except he's an asshole.
In America, I figured you were talking about like a Pete's Coffee or something.
No.
Okay,
No,
well, here we go.
Tim Hortons here.
Canadian places. I have heard of Tim Hortons. That's true.
Yeah. Hey, quick question for you. Boston pizza. Why is that a thing?
Why is it a thing?
Yeah.
Jim Treliving is rich, and he figured out how to make money by selling people bad pizza. I don't know.
I'm just saying, here in the States, when you think of pizza, you don't think of Boston.
No, you really don't. In fact, I live here, and I can tell you the pizza mostly sucks. There's some exceptions, but it's not the rule.
We have like this weird tradition where we send a Christmas tree to Boston every year.
That's true.
I can't tell you why.
No,
but
I know about
it's a
this
thing.
because I don't remember the year, but like a long time ago, Boston sent a bunch of help to you guys when there was a huge fire. Like
Sounds right, yeah.
like 1800 somewhere. There's like some huge city burning fire. We sent a bunch of help, and then every year since, they've sent a Christmas tree to us as like a thank you gift.
Well, that's nice.
And that's the giant tree that they put up in the city every year. I want to say it was like 100 years. Maybe I'm off. Maybe I'm way off on that, but I'll look it
It's
up.
a lot of trees. Like, at what point have you paid off your debt?
I mean, it's just a nice gesture, Joe, of like friendly neighbors.
I guess,
you know?
but I mean, like 100 years, like, all right, like enough of the fucking trees. Like, we've given you enough. Like,
Oh my God.
Once you've given enough Christmas spirit,
Okay, here we go.
I would think lots of people argue that there's never enough
So,
Christmas spirit.
I inflated my numbers here, but the Boston Christmas tree has been lit each year since 1941. Since Since 1971, it has been given to the people of Boston by the people of Nova Scotia in thanks for their assistance after the 1917 Halifax explosion, that famous explosion.
Hmm.
So
That famous explosion. Yeah, you know, that one.
that one. So
Maybe,
there you
I
go.
mean, maybe the Boston pizza thing's like just setting expectations because it was like New York pizza, and people were like,
Like,
"Oh, this is gonna be
"Yeah,
amazing." It's like, "Oh, it's New York pizza. Like, it's pretty shitty, but I mean."
I
it's,
think we
you
can
know,
all agree that Florida has the worst pizza and just move on from there, I think.
We've had some good pizza in Florida.
Yeah,
Last question: the Hallmark Channel. I've been watching a lot of their movies.
Jesus, Joe.
All of them are filmed in Canada.
Yeah.
Have you ever run into one of them, or have you ever been a part of them?
Okay, so to set that in perspective, I believe they're filmed in Manitoba or in
A lot of them are
somewhere in
filmed-
Alberta.
Yeah.
So that would have been like if I asked, "Hey, do you ever like run into anybody in Maine?"
Well, here's the thing. There is literally like 64 new ones this year. So I'm assuming that they're literally being filmed all over Canada constantly just to keep up with demand.
I mean, that's
I-
pretty much our export. Our exports are funnier comedians, hockey players, and then Hallmark movies.
I
That's
mean,
about it.
Joe, I know this becomes a joke in the show every year that you're like unironically way into Hallmark Christmas movies, but
So good.
I genuinely don't understand how you come up with 64 plots of Christmas movies. Like
Because there's not different plots.
There really isn't. There isn't.
It's literally the same movie.
There's a
just-
girl. She has a great job. What if she threw it all away and moved to
fell in
Christmas
love.
Town?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
what if she
Christmas-
moves back home to the smallest town possible that just happens to look like every suburb in the world?
There is one handsome single guy though.
Yes, the guy that she loved in high school, and now they live together in happiness.
But he's kind of gruff and like rough around the edges.
Duh.
Yeah, unlike her sophisticated, sexy boy toy back in the city. I've seen it.
Yeah,
in
but the
movies.
boy toy back in the city is always like mid-6, and the guy back home is like an 8.5.
That's
like a
what-
high
yeah.
9. Yeah, I gotcha. I
I
gotcha.
wouldn't say he's a 10, but he's higher than the mid-6.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy back home is like a cardio surgeon. And
Well-
the guy that she's leaving him for is like bar owner,
Yeah.
but also owns a Christmas store.
He would be a 10 if not for the sloped forehead, I think is what you're trying to say.
You guys are now just being assholes.
Joe, Joe.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't want to talk to you right now, Joe. Cece,
Yes.
tell me about t-shirts. We can now get your wonderful, beautiful t-shirt design.
Yes, from the meetup. It is up at TeePublic, and yeah, there's going to be 2 more shirts in the future. There's a BGH New Class shirt that's on the way. That is based on a very fun 80s horror poster, and then there's also a Danger Girls shirt that's coming down the line.
Beautiful.
Ooh.
Get your shirts. Get your CC shirts here, people.
Mm.
So yeah, you can go to bloodygoodhorror.com, click on t-shirts, or go to TeePublic and search Bloody Good Horror, and you can get a design that's sort of like I don't know, what was your inspiration for the meetup design? How would you describe it? It's very like it looks like some type of old ancient seal or something.
I mean, it's just medieval symbolism.
Mm.
Love it.
Autumnal.
So this
Autumnal.
this version is slightly different. So like if you were one of the lucky people that made it out to the meetup, that shirt doesn't exist anymore. That's a collector's item.
Well,
I
if
mean,
you're
the ones that exist
Except for the
in
ones that we
basement.
still have.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is if you buy one of these new ones, it's the same design, but it's not like it doesn't say, Chicago, whatever. It's like slightly different.
or if you're one of our $10 patrons who happens to be a size that we still have available and I'm shipping out. Otherwise, you'll probably be getting the other one.
Okay, there you
now,
go.
now I'm just thinking about the 15th century, just fall things.
Yes, just
Very autumnal
all
for the 15th century.
mid-century, or not mid-century,
Yeah.
medieval.
Just autumnal.
All right.
Autumnal.
Very good. We should mention briefly next week we're doing Dr. Sleep.
Mm.
Have you read this book, Cece?
I have.
You have. Are you excited
Mhm.
for the movie?
Yeah, actually, I when I started the book, I didn't really know if I'd like it or not because I love The Shining so much, and I was more than pleasantly surprised. I really, really enjoyed it. So
it's getting
I'm
good
excited
buzz.
that Mike Flanagan is directing it because he is super talented, and I think he's going to do a good job with it.
I mean, more than anything, him directing it is probably what has me interested in it.
Yeah.
And it's getting really good buzz. I was watching an interview with Ewan McGregor today, and my, what a lovely little man he is. He just seems like so pleasant.
Is he little?
He was, I mean, I'm little, but he seemed like a slight man, maybe, you know?
Slight man? What does that mean?
He's not a giant. That's all.
He
I'm saying.
rips people off.
Yeah.
I
He's
feel
a
like
slight
this,
man.
yeah, I feel like this hole is just getting bigger and bigger, and
That's what she said.
Oh gosh.
Hello.
You know what it's time for, Joe? A transition.
Yeah.
Let us know what we are drinking tonight.
Beer guts.
Look at this photograph. That's Canadian.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah. So Lighthouse, a fun little happy tale for this upcoming holiday season. I picked a beer, and we'll get into it, but it'll make sense once we get going, and I'm sure there'll be references. But I picked a beer from the fine folks at Microphone Brewing. That's right here in Elk Grove Village, Illinois. And the beer I picked of theirs is their Smells Like Bean Spirit. Ew.
That's great.
Thanks. So, for those of you not familiar with Microphone, which there's probably a lot of you, they are a local Illinois brewery just outside of Chicago that is rapidly picking up steam with the beer nerds, as you call it. One of the reasons because of this beer, Smells Like Bean Spirit. All their beers are based on like album titles or songs, or it's a whole theme. Their Smell Like Bean Spirit is kind of their.
It's a mood.
It's a whole thing to latch your hat onto. The Smells Like Bean Spirit is kind of their big one that kind of got their name out there for folks in this area. It's a breakfast stout, so it means it's a stout brewed with coffee, specifically Tugboat Sumatra coffee.
Oh.
And they put out a ton of different styles of this one. The one I had recently was a double maple. So they actually put maple syrup in the brewing process. So they kind of have this base of the coffee stout, and then they do a lot of different variations of it. Right now on draft, I haven't had it, but I want to get over there. They have their Smells Like Basic Spirit pumpkin spice. So it's
Wow.
actually a pumpkin spice latte.
So they've just got that
coffee.
one Nirvana
did you
reference,
just,
and they're
have
running
a really
with it.
good chuckle to yourself when you read that for the first time?
I chuckled and then I cried. I was so excited because I wanted to partake in it. But where was I? So the alcohol in these can vary. The one that they just put out comes in 11%, and it's usually around that. So it's a hefty one. But I recommend everything they put out. All their stuff has been great. The wife and I have been over there a few times and picked up their stuff. So I definitely suggest if you're in the area, pick it up. And then we're starting to see their stuff in stores too. And I can definitely see them branching out more. So you'll probably start seeing them in your neck of the woods, hopefully sometime soon. But great stuff. I can't say enough. Microphone Brewing is their website. That's MIKER phonebrewing.com. Don't ask me why, but that's just the way it is. And yeah, there you go.
Delightful. Well, thank you, Joe. All right,
Thanks,
guys.
man.
It is time. Let's take a quick break so that we can review The Lighthouse.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. From the prime time, bitch. Main feature.
And we're back. The Lighthouse, directed by Robert Eggers. Joe, this guy did The Witch. I don't remember. What did you think of The Witch, Joe? Seems like one you might have been.
I wasn't on that episode. I liked it. I actually watched The Witch. John Schnars was in the area. We watched it together.
Oh wow. Yeah, you can't not enjoy that, right?
Well, we actually watched it at my house, so I had him like there to explain things to me. So it was kind of nice. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'll say it wasn't like one of my top picks, but for what it was, I enjoyed it.
We should say entrant in our top 25 films of the decade.
Yeah,
High
it was
up.
there.
Couldn't tell you what it was because John isn't here, but you know.
Number 2.
There. Oh, look, that's really high up. Great, congratulations for that guy. So yeah, so
I'm sure he's jazzed.
this is his next feature film. It's called The Lighthouse. We're gonna review it here in a second, but first, Cece,
Yes.
I like to think that you look so fancy tonight just because you were doing the word of the day.
Yes, that's exactly why.
You sort of bring like a people's word of the day to us. It's like a nice contrast to Schnarz's, you know.
If you
Word of
mean
the
by
day.
the people, you mean an actual word? Yes.
Yeah, I'm a little, I'm a little confused by that, but yeah, people's choice all day.
Also, I'm gonna assume that you actually, unlike the last time Adam was on the show, I'm gonna assume that you looked up your own word and didn't get it from him like John did.
No. I did not
And
give
also,
anything.
I'm pretty sure the last time, like last show, John got the word because I gave it to him. So it's cool though. People's choice over here.
See-
We're going good.
Listen,
Yeah.
what
I
I'm
don't-
saying is, it's like unlike John, you're a woman of the people. Is what I'm saying. You are an
She's the Nickelodeon
So far.
fan favorite.
what?
So far, Ewan McGregor
What
is
is-
less of a man because he's not
I-
tall.
I said slight.
And-
That means small, Joe.
And the one female we've convinced to come onto the show regularly.
Sophie would come any time, and there's
Yeah.
lots of other great people.
Sophie
but
and I
yes.
had the same number 1, Joe. So whatever.
Okay, do you want to hear this word of the day?
I give
I
up.
really liked the sigh that just continued through the music. That really it made me feel good.
Give us your down home folks. DC.
Yes.
Listen, I'm doing a bit. It's more about Schnars, okay? I'm trying to put Schnars down. You guys won't even play with me on this, okay?
I mean, we are. It's just not the way that you enjoy. So.
You know, one person went to Duke, and the other person.
I know.
I didn't even ask
Raised
you
on
where
the
you went.
streets.
I didn't even ask you where you went to college.
One went to Duke. One went to the School of Hard Knocks.
See, you get it.
Totally got it. The word of the day is thalassophobia, which is from the Greek word thalassa, meaning sea, and phobos, meaning fear,
Oh,
which is an intense and persistent fear of the sea or of sea travel. And it can include being afraid of large bodies of water, fear of the vast emptiness of the sea, of sea waves, and the fear of distance from land.
yeah, it's not
Huh.
great, the sea.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary.
It's scary out there.
Yeah.
Do you think
It
like
is.
those people are they uncomfortable around seamen also, or is it?
Yes.
I think I dated one of those in college.
That's the vast emptiness of just, humanity.
You
Just
know,
not the humanity of that. But yeah.
sometimes you find your seaman in. Well, you can find them in all places, but sometimes you find them in your boiler after you had a romp with a mermaid.
Yeah, that's true.
All the
Sometimes,
nooks and
sometimes
crannies of
it's
every
like,
island.
sometimes you're at like, you know that thing where you're at the bottom of a lighthouse, but then the sea man is like dripping down on your face for some reason from like 10
sorry.
stories up.
Too far, Eric.
Yeah.
Too far.
We've all done the Lighthouse, Eric.
I didn't write the movie. So here we are, The Lighthouse 2019, the return of the witch director Robert Eggers. And this is a movie about how smelly Willem Dafoe's breath is. Really, when you boil it down, like Willem Dafoe plays just a vile, objectionable, like salty, crusty old lighthouse keeper. And
Yeah.
as we open up the movie, Robert Pattinson plays a young sort of drifter kind of character who's kind of bounced around some different professions, and he's a little bit of a mystery in the beginning, but what we know is that he has taken on the job to be Defoe's number 2. And I didn't really put this together till later, but we see like some belongings being dragged off the island as Pattinson's walking on that I later assumed were just like the leftover belongings of the old number 2, who we find out his fate at some point during the movie too, which we can talk about. But
If there was an old number 2.
woo. So basically, the first half of the movie is like Robert Pattinson kind of trying to settle in. He's doing a job, right? They're supposed to be there for like 4 weeks or something. It's like their shift, I guess. And then It's a lot of him doing chores and Willem Dafoe messing with him. And then we get these sort of continued vignettes throughout the movie of them having dinner. There's always this reset. It's like dinner time, and then it's like they're learning about each other, and weird things are coming out, and there's this tension. And then about halfway through the movie, what happens is that basically they're waiting for the boat to come get them, but there's a huge storm, and the boat never shows up. At that point in the movie, things take a really sharp turn where everything becomes really hallucinatory. We're not really clear what's happening very often from that point on in the movie, other than that they're still on the island and shit's starting to go off. The rations are limited. Robert Pattinson, who had been like kind of teetotaling for the first half of the movie, starts to crack a little bit. He starts drinking, and that of course makes things sort of spiral a little bit more. And then it just kind of careens into absolute psychological insanity. Yeah, that's it. I just for anybody who hasn't seen the movie and wants to see it, we're probably not going to like it all the way through, spoiling the ending. I don't think you really need to really for us to talk about what there is to appreciate about this thing. So
I thought you said we didn't really need to defrost the top, and I was like, I don't know.
You just eat it frozen. It's fine.
All the characters frosted tips that you couldn't see because it was black and white.
Exactly. So
I was going more about the semen references we were going for, but it's cool. Just over here by myself.
No, thank you.
Cece, please.
This is a classy show.
Also, there's some stuff with mermaids, which a mermaid maybe. I don't know, but we'll talk about that.
I have a fun fact about that.
About mermaids?
Well, specifically about that mermaid.
Okay. It was me.
Yes, get ready.
Yeah. All right, Joe.
Yeah.
What did you think of The Lighthouse?
So I'll be the first to admit that I was fully opposed that we were doing this for the show. And I think I argued pretty, not heartily, but I definitely, said
You didn't threaten to quit, but I feel like it was one notch below. It was getting there.
Yeah. It was kind of well, I'm probably not going to make it to the theater anyway, so you guys can have this one. But I ended up seeing it, and I ended up really enjoying it. It takes a bit to figure out what, if anything, it's going for. Because we kind of get these two on the island, and you kind of, from trailers and everything, things are going to ramp up, but you're not really sure how. And then I want to say about like 20 minutes in or so, you start to get this dynamic of Pattinson starting to slowly go off the rails, and what the heck's his name? Dafoe pushing his buttons to an extent, but then you kind of get this dynamic of during the day they're at odds, and then at night, especially once like alcohol gets involved, like they're best friends, and like not best friends, but like they're embracing. Like there's a part where it almost looks like they're gonna kiss.
It's
like
weird.
You get this real. It's interesting. It's almost like a Paranormal Activity movie where like one thing during the day you have this vibe, and then at night there's a completely different, and like that back and forth keeps happening. And I loved the nighttime stuff.
Yeah. And
like the day was really like uncomfortable to watch, but I appreciated it for what they were going for.
Yeah.
And I want to say, like, by the end, like, I loved this thing. Like, especially the last 20 minutes or so. It just, when it goes off in like the most perfect way, and I ended up really, really loving it.
Of anyone in the crew, Joe, I had absolutely no idea how you were going to react to this, and that was exciting / scary.
I didn't either. For one, it's an hour and 45, which is, not long, but
it's pushing it.
I fully expected when we saw the trailer for this, I'm like, great, this is going to be like 3.5 hours of just these two like bonding in a lighthouse. But at no point did I feel like it was dragging at any point.
Because it keeps you on the edge. So you're just like, you don't know what's going to happen.
Absolutely. And, the whole thing's shot in, 9:3 in black and white. Like,
I had to look it up. It's some batshit. It's
119.1, so it's shot in the style of silent film.
So it's almost a square. Like it's slightly off of being a square, which is like in the theaters a pretty wild thing to see.
Yeah, exactly.
It's also black and white.
Black and white, and you get a little like, oh god, like groany when you hear that. But then like the way they played out and the way it's done, like it fits perfectly. And like all around, I really like this.
All right, Cece, what'd you think?
Well, I am a huge fan of Robert Eggers. I loved The Witch. I think that he is super talented, and I will always watch anything he or Ari Aster put their name on. So I was pretty excited about this coming out, and I tried my best to avoid any spoilers or trailers or anything. So I kind of went in blind, and I would say that I can appreciate, I don't know that it would make my top 10, but it would be very close on that list. And I appreciate the constant intensity and the, like, I don't know, the emotions that Robert Eggers able to play with in not only directing but in writing stories. So yeah, I liked it.
Adam.
So this is going to be really close to my number one film, and I've been fighting about it for a while. Mary and I on Slack have gone back and forth. I have had 8 readings of this film. So I've just like read it textually, metatextually. I've gone through each way that it could be read, and then I've added my own like little things. And I really liked the film. I think it was one of the most beautiful films I've seen this year. It had similar things to Midsummer, where I was like, this is so outside of what your brain naturally sees in the world that it really dials up what you're experiencing. I wouldn't describe it as horror per se as much as a black comedy. And I think if you go in thinking it's a black comedy, then you have a lot more fun. I felt like the audience watching it with me weren't laughing at all because they were very upset.
Yeah, mine was
there was
laughing. There was a lot of laughing in my
Yeah,
theater.
yeah, I got a
Good.
lot.
People seemed into it. I got to say,
People
too,
were freaking out when I was like,
Yeah.
they were like, what is this? But I think a lot of people went and saw it because they were like, oh, this
Right.
was filmed in Nova Scotia.
right, that's a
So
good
I-
point. Because I just
I think
assumed,
a
I'm
lot
like,
of normies.
like I went after Sunday afternoon, right? And it was a fairly full theater for that time of day. And I was thinking that's probably a good point, because I was thinking like, you're not going to this thing accidentally. Like if you're here, you're probably looking for something weird. You're kind of in the mindset. Whereas where in your theater, there probably was a good amount of looky-loos, just kind of checking out the local thing.
Ton
you
of
know?
people who were like, from Yarmouth, which is 3 hours outside of Halifax. So everybody knows someone from Yarmouth, and a lot of them went down. The lighthouse itself that they built was made of wood, and the locals actually petitioned to keep it there.
Oh, that's
But there
cool.
were there were safety issues,
Oh.
obviously, with allowing that to stand. But it was made completely entirely out of wood, and you couldn't I have no clue how the engineering works, because I'm like, that just looks like fantastic on the screen.
Yeah.
Like,
No, it was
Do they-
beautiful. Yeah.
Do they sell bumper stickers that say that? Everybody knows someone from Yarmouth.
I'm sure they do.
Like I could.
I can tell you some stories. There was a guy I knew from Yarmouth that came into work missing his hand.
Huh.
Yeah.
You know-
As you do.
he
You
got
know
in
what
a
they say
fight with
about
a-
Yarmouth? Everybody knows somebody from Yarmouth.
He literally got into a fight with this guy who was dealing drugs, and he blew off his hand with a shotgun. And then
Holy
he
shit.
came into work the next day.
That's
Wow.
dedication.
Yeah, that
Because
can-do attitude.
yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting. Like Adam's talking about sort of having interpretations, because it is very much a movie that leaves things to interpretation. But I sort of left very satisfied, and this is a little unusual for me, but I left being very satisfied without one, because I feel like no matter what the interpretation is, it's still really clear the physical state of things as the camera fades out, right? Like
Right.
how it happened or what was going on. Like there's a lot to dig into there, but I was kind of just like, all right, okay. But I was looking forward to this. You tell me it's directed by The Witch, awesome. You give me these 2 dudes in the cast. I don't know a lot about Pattinson, but I know that he's got a lot of cred in the last couple of years for taking on roles like this. So I was just interested to see him do his thing. Dafoe's always amazing, and it's like both of them give like tour de force performances, and I think we'll get a lot into it tonight. It's like Dafoe feels very much like a classic stage performance. What Pattinson is doing is really interesting in its own way. It's a little more dialed back because his character is supposed to be very reserved in the beginning, but what we see even before he goes crazy is that this guy has secrets. And so like before the unraveling of the crazy part, we see this slow opening up of his actual just regular personality, and even that's very interesting because he starts getting more intense even before he's full on like losing his mind. Seeing the two of these guys like play off of each other is such a delight. I think that Defoe is like so method acting in this movie. It's batshit crazy. Like he looks so stinky. Like his teeth are disgusting. Like he really and I think that I think Defoe gets a rap. Like he gets lumped in with these dudes like Pacino and Jack Nicholson, right? Like great actors in their own right, but guys who are sort of considered to, oh, those guys just give that performance and it's big and loud and you get them when you want that thing. And maybe it's just me, but I was sort of like lumped older Defoe into that. But I'm watching this and I'm like, this dude is this Lighthouse kid. Like I can't remember the last time I saw somebody with an actor with that distinctive a look and personality manage to still get completely lost into a character. And it's just like, honestly, as a all around the look, the movie, the acting, if you're like an appreciator of film, I feel like there's just so much, the art of it, there's so much to get into here. It also does a thing that I really love, which is like I love period set films, but specifically ones that really dig into the minutia of daily hardships, because that to me is what's interesting. I don't like watching movies where it's just the backdrop, because the interesting thing about it to me is that these people were living completely different lives from us, and that should inform the characters and the way they are interacting with each other. And so I even enjoyed a lot of these scenes, Joe, like you were talking about, where like Pattinson's doing chores, right? Like that stuff's really interesting. There's a whole thing about the water and the food, and like he really spent a lot of thought about how these two guys would sustain themselves, the sanitary conditions, which, spoiler alert, not very good, and the sort of mechanics of the lighthouse and what it would involve in Pattinson's character. We don't know a lot about what Dafoe does, and that's like a key thing. But we see a lot about this daily drudgery of like fixing shit that's just like being destroyed by these constant winds and water battering it, right? This lighthouse itself, it's really interesting knowing that they built it, because it's such a just like aesthetically fascinating structure, right? Like the little rickety house, and then they've got this is my favorite thing in this fucking movie. You guys are gonna make fun of me because I talked about a lot over email, but like there's the lighthouse and the little shanty they live in, and a long like wooden like covered hallway that connects the two, and he uses it to such cool effect because it's a disorienting thing, because it's like it's built like a house. It's got little windows and it's got little shingles, but it's just like I don't know how long, like a 50-foot hallway or something connecting the two buildings, and this is the only structure on the whole island, right? So it's just this sparse, like isolating feeling. There's something about the structure of it that's a little unsettling as well, because it's such a severe visual, sort of the lighthouse set against the backdrop of like nothingness. So yeah, and it's and we can open it up here after this, but it's also what like Adam was saying, it is incredibly funny, and I didn't know that it was going to be, and I was happy but I found it really easy to slip into like, oh, okay, this movie is supposed to be funny. There's so much. I mean, it's one of the, I can't remember a movie that was this dark and simultaneously this funny. Like there are laugh out loud laugh lines in this movie that killed. Like there's this whole scene where Defoe's giving he kind of starts turning on Pattinson, and Defoe gives this brain melting monologue that sounded like you're from the Bible.
2.5 minutes.
Is it 2.5 minutes?
It's 2.5 minutes, and he did not blink while filming it, and they did it in one take.
No, I don't think he blinks the entire movie. No bullshit. Like I was getting distracted at some point watching his eyes to see if he was blinking, but he delivers the whole thing. They've been having this argument about his food. Pattinson said he doesn't like his food, and it sent him off in this rant where he's just ranting about hellfire and brimstone and how I hope the sea gods like strike you down. It's all like old English. And you're watching it thinking like, I cannot believe this dude memorized all this. This is incredible. And then at the very end, he stops and there's just like a pregnant pause. And Pattinson's like, all right, fine, have it your way. I like your food. It's like, but it's like, yeah, that's the fascinating balancing act that this movie's doing.
Defoe's like voice, sorry. When
Go ahead.
he is like, when Pattinson breaks the news that he hates his cooking, and Defoe is just like, a scorned wife was unreal. Like that part specifically, I was like hysterically laughing at. You don't like meat food?
I think that the the movie as a whole is really interesting, and I think this is why I really like Robert Eggers as a screenwriter and director, because you have these two characters who are giving performances of a lifetime, but they're also such like different performances.
Yeah,
Pattinson
totally.
is so physical, and the physicality he has, and even just his like facial expressions in the most like in carrying water to the latrine, like that. I mean, that
It's,
becomes like
like,
this all-encompassing moment that is really important. And then you also have Dafoe, who is like screaming this like soliloquy of just, you know, craziness, and you're trying to kind of balance the two, and then you realize that these people are in this super claustrophobic setting, and like what exactly does that mean? And I really appreciated that you have this like, I know that Egger says in a couple of interviews that he obviously is very into symbolism and Carl Jung and all these things, and how Dafoe and Pattinson represent these basically like your id and the ego or whatever it is, and that the lighthouse itself is just this like container for that. So it's a very human movie, and I feel like he was very apt in explaining that in this movie as well as The Witch. And I think that's what makes this movie so funny, because it's such a human and such a relatable experience. Like, you don't have to know that living in a, or you've never had to have lived in a lighthouse to know that like that's crazy, and you can relate to being stuck in a room or stuck in an elevator with someone that like you literally want to kill. And
Yeah.
I don't know, like it's a really impressive piece of art.
I
for
kind
sure.
of thought about like what you're saying, because at one point, like, and Pattinson's really interesting because you're right. Like, especially in the beginning, he's giving a very subtle performance. It's very layered. It's like he is trying to give off this vibe that he's just a dude there to do a job, but in reality, you can see he's like a very tortured person.
Right.
And he has a secret that eventually comes out, but even before that, it's just like doing this work, and you can just see it's wearing on him and like just ratcheting up this tension inside of him. And like, but then their interactions start getting weirder and weirder, and every night they're getting more friendly. And then at some point in the movie, after the shit started going off the rails, they're like cuddling, and you think they might like start making out, which when you're looking at Defoe's like maybe the most disgusting image you could possibly conjure. But then that was kind of where I was really thinking like, how batshit crazy you must go being the only, like you said, Cece, like being the only two people in this place, and not just any place, but
Right.
a place where you're surrounded by, to go back to your word of the day, like the vast unknowingness of the ocean and just like this droning wind and the sound of the water. Like I can't even imagine the way that might make you crazy.
Well, and I mean, you know,
And they're
even
drunk all the time at some point.
right, well, you have to, because I mean,
Yeah.
you're the vastness of the ocean and the emptiness, especially for two people who are extremely disturbed in one way or another. And even if they weren't disturbed, if you were of sound mind and body and you were left, I mean, that's the whole problem with like solitary confinement. If you're left that long to your own devices, you're going to go crazy. So like it's a really interesting character study of how it's a reflection of our abilities to drive ourselves crazy, and how it's like, I mean, that's the real terror. Like we're the real monsters. It doesn't matter if there's stuff in the ocean or not. Like you're gonna make it up, and you're gonna freak yourself out to the point where you either kill yourself or someone else. So
I don't know. I think the birds might be the monsters, if I'm being honest.
It's true.
Seabirds.
If I may, in regards to Cece's point, I think that the actors, like the performance, was very much motivated by the different styles that they bring to their acting also. So Rob Pattinson, in interviews, etc., he is a person that likes to read the script and deliver the performance on the day. He's not a method actor, but he likes to be engaged, and he doesn't like to rehearse, because if he delivers the performance once, it might be a reflection of that attempt at the performance. So that's the problem with rehearsing. Whereas Willem Dafoe was giving a like classic stage performance. It came from a place where like Robert Eggers had the two rehearse in like an apartment and work through these like big scenes that were going to have like a lot of impact and dialogue. And so it was interesting to see the different styles, because Rob Pattinson was like, I want to deliver this on the day. I'll like rehearse, but I don't want to anything that's extremely emotional. I want to deliver it there at the time. So I thought that was very interesting, and I think that was reflected both in the psychology of the characters, in that Rob Pattinson was very reserved. He didn't interact as much with the crew. In a weird way, it sounds like they kind of did a reverse, like, it was a little bit like Rob Pattinson would hang out with the crew beforehand, and then when they started filming, he kind of retreated. And Willem Dafoe was the opposite. He became more like amenable to the crew because of the drinking, etc.
He's just like,
Willem
"Arg."
Dafoe learned to knit for this movie.
That's awesome.
That's
He does
amazing.
knit.
That known.
He does knit. That's right.
And I actually wanted to say one of my symbolism things, which will actually lead to an interesting thing that Joe raised.
Oh.
So at one point, the two characters we find out have the same name. Now that might not be actually terribly relevant to, you know, if you're watching the film the first time. But if you look at, the name is Thomas, and the name Thomas in Aramaic is twins. So it's possible that the two characters are either the same person or are reflections of a person becoming that person. And I thought this story was so interesting because what Eric was talking about with like the repetitive chores and then the drinking, which Joe mentioned too, like, you know, they have the same cycle every day. And it's kind of similar to like the myth of Sisyphus, that you're pushing this rock up a hill every day and then it comes back down in the night and then you push it back up again. And that's the same thing with the Prometheus myth, which is very obvious in the text, is that like, you know, you suffer for your divine finding of message, but also like everything repeats over and over and over again. And like, that's in the text. It's Willem Dafoe going, well, how long have you been here? Have you been here 5?
Oh, that shit is crazy.
Weeks? Have you been here 2?
I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know.
And it's really
tell me.
cool. Like that, like this movie and Midsummer, both huge movies that deal with gaslighting, and the people that are gaslighting are punished.
The gas
Yeah.
the gas lampers.
Lamping, sorry.
Gas lampers, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, Adam. That was very smart,
Yeah.
and that sounded totally real. I'm slightly more blown away though by Joe's revelation that this is the same plot arc of a Paranormal Activity movie, because that's also like, you're kind of saying the same thing, you two, but like just in different languages.
I know.
It's almost like
And you're both
John
right.
with his smart people words and Cece with her like down homey words, right?
Almost like that.
Like,
No, Adam, I think that I think that's a brilliant point, and I think that that's, you know, I know in interviews that Robert Eggers talks about like all of the different influences and like what stories he was kind of working from and what that's supposed to represent. So I think that, I mean, as most his and Ari Aster's movies, I think the more you watch this and the more you return to it, it's going to be a book. You're going to be able to glean more from it with every viewing.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it really fun, because, you know, you can watch a movie 12 times and be like, oh, I missed that the first couple of times.
You could totally watch this like multiple times, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
Someone said something crazy today that blew my mind. So you know when Rob Pattinson falls while he's painting the lighthouse, and he gets covered in the white paint, and then, you know, another scene is him covered in a white substance, and it's a reflection of that earlier mirroring.
Huh.
I don't want to spoil what scene that is because it's
Yeah.
relevant, but yeah. The one thing I did want to say, because I thought you guys would enjoy, and it does what the film does, which is it takes all of these like symbolic ideas and then it like adds a fart sound to them. It like takes them to a more
there's
common...
literal fart jokes in this movie. It's incredible.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
there's a
So-
lot of them.
The mermaid, lots of people talked about, spoiler alert, there is a mermaid vagina in this film. The mermaid vagina was based on Robert Eggers researching shark vaginas
Ooh.
Huh.
and replicating it into the mermaid to
It's-
explain how you could have sex with a mermaid,
very-
and that's an insane level of research.
It's very
I mean,
aggressive.
but I love it though. Like,
Yes.
it's such a, it really shows like the extent to like he's willing to go to make this craft. And I appreciate that, like, on the surface, this movie is super pretentious, like very pretentious.
Oh yeah.
But it also knows
fart
how
jokes.
pretentious. Yeah, it
Like
knows how
that's what's
pretentious it is.
amazing about it.
And the way it subverts that
Yeah.
is to do things like make fart jokes the entire time. And I think that that's like, I mean, it's very reflective of humans. Like, we take ourselves so seriously and we still laugh at farts. Like, that's the whole
Which
thing.
is kind
like,
of a nice contrast, though, between this and The Witch. Like, I like The Witch, but I consider The Witch to be a slightly more difficult film because, like, it's deadly serious in the same way this is, but it has absolutely no sense of humor about itself, whereas this
No,
film clearly does.
well,
It's a
but I also
hefty
think,
watch, even just from
It's not.
like.
I love The Witch. I'm just saying,
Oh,
like,
no,
that's
I
to
know.
me a
I
difference
just
here.
think that it's also very indicative of the stories it's trying to tell. Like, The Witch is very much about the oppression of religion,
yeah.
how organized beings in general are oppressive to outsiders, and like that the subject matter tends to lend itself more so to a heavier watch.
Well, it was also a much
whereas,
more
like,
dire time period it's set in.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like both are pretty
They're
dire.
pretty dire.
Yeah,
Well,
they
but this
weren't-
is
they weren't
slightly- I
trained
feel like
to
this
the
is-
eye-
I
This
can't
is slightly
think of a
more-
world where the witch makes sense if you make a joke in it. Like, I
Yeah,
don't
no,
think
totally,
it
totally.
reflects the
No, but
storyline in any way.
all I'm saying is that it makes this film to me slightly more accessible. Like
Oh, for
because
sure.
like The Witch, I think The Witch is one of those movies where like you got to be in the right mood to watch it. And this is similar
Or just
to
like witches.
this is similar to me, but I think because it's funny, I think it would be easier for me to just be like, I'm gonna like if it was on TV or something. I think it'd be easier for me to be like, I'm gonna sit and watch this smelly fart joke movie, like because
Well, I
it's
think
fun.
that's kind of what I was talking about at the top, where we were talking about like our opinions. I was dreading watching this because I was fully expecting another just like 2 hour.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck these people are even talking about, and like, all right, there's gonna be a payoff, but it's gonna take a lot to get there. Whereas this, I 100% agree, this is a lot more accessible, which is probably why I enjoyed it so
Yeah.
much. Like it has those moments of humor, but still like those tense moments are like just they don't hold back in any way.
One of my go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say one of the great things about humor is it can actually amp up horror. So
Oh, for
if we think
sure.
about the movie Us, that film, the scariest parts are because the humor is building, because you relieve some tension and then you can get back into it. If you're just stressed the whole time, you aren't scared because you're like, oh, I just don't feel
Well,
good
you get-
right now.
you get-
Why am I?
You get numb to it after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. and
Disagree. I felt like I was gonna throw up after the Blair Witch remake or the new one. Like,
I
Can
just
I
wanted.
just say,
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
mean, to kind of backtrack for a second, I just also, I mean, anything that's based on a folktale or legend or any of that, like, I am a diehard fan for, and I really appreciate the reverence that Edgar gives to those types of stories.
Yeah.
And as Adam brought up, like, using a shark vagina for a mermaid vagina is amazing because no, but like, I mean,
put it on the DVD cover.
everything relates so well to the fact that, like, these are sailors on the coast of a sea, and like mermaids are really sirens, and this whole time at the beginning of the movie you hear this siren and he's jacking off to a mermaid effigy. Like, there's so many things.
It's true. He does do that.
Well, I was about to say, don't roll your eyes.
Yeah.
He was totally
No.
doing it.
He was, yeah.
I
I
mean,
like to say
but
making
just,
love. But
I just really appreciate that
Self-love.
there's so much.
Well, the thing comes up at the end too that says like this was based on, loosely based on like writings and diaries at the time, and
Yeah.
like there was a similar note after The Witch. What I would love to see like a book compiled of his sources, like just like pulling together the sources that he uses to write this stuff, or just a list of like, hey, check this. I'm sure it exists somewhere, but like check this stuff out. It's
I have this. I think it's the what is this? The Esquire article talks a lot about that because it also talks about all the Lovecraftian references he makes, but it also lists like Moby Dick and the Sarah. You mentioned it in the email, Adam.
Norma Jewett.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely out there, and I think that it exists for The Witch too. But yeah, I mean, fairy tales are not sunshine and rainbows and sparkles, and I really, really appreciate that.
Adam, did you just say that this references Norbit 2?
Yes.
Yes.
Flubber
The sequel
also.
to Norbit.
all the
How
classics.
you doing?
Yeah, all the
Did
classics.
not even realize that was a thing. Huh.
The
right.
last thing that I want to just get in because it was the thing I really loved was like I love how the film throughout as you go on like it treats as Pattinson sort of turns on Dafoe, the way that Dafoe is being shot and framed sort of changes. It's hard to describe, but like early in the film, the first time we hear one of his like sea shanty stories, right? Like the camera's really focused on him and it's like a moment and we're like listening to him and it's like this low dramatic camera angle, right? And then he tells another story later on and it's still sort of interested, but then he kind of contradicts himself. And at that point, Pattinson's like, wait a second, I thought you said blah, blah, blah. Then there's a scene after the shit is told. I think it's after, pretty sure it's after the water blows in all the windows, right? And then it just cuts to them like it's the aftermath of the water coming into the house and everything's just a shambles. And when we cut into the scene, Defoe's halfway into a story and he's sitting on the ground. He just looks like a drunk asshole. And it's like, instead of this like reverence for these stories that we had in the beginning of the film, he's showing how it's annoying how he won't shut up with these stupid stories because literally the film thinks so little of this story that we don't even hear the beginning. It just cuts, and as we cut into the scene, it's halfway into the story, and then 3 seconds later Pattinson's like, and this is like my favorite part of the Pattinson performance is him just straight up berating Dafoe for just like telling him to shut up. I don't want to hear your stupid story. But it's like, and this is when his New England accent really comes out in a really great way.
Yeah.
When he gets angry and like this moment, but it's like and it's why I love even The Witch, which was a movie that again, like I described The Witch as like kind of difficult, but at the end of the day, I absolutely will always champion filmmakers where everything feels deliberate, because too many movies I feel like just do stuff without putting enough thought into why it's even there. And this thing, it's like every prop and shot and line is feeding into the larger narrative of the film, and those type of filmmakers are so few and far between. I feel like they need to be like celebrated, which is why I'm way behind something like this.
I mean, I totally agree. I think that, you know, this is a movie that obviously lends itself to a ton of symbolism, but I also appreciate that it's a very deliberate symbolism, that it's not, you know, this subconscious, like, well, you can interpret it this way, which I mean, I know the ending is rather vague or open to interpretation, but I think everything that was written into this movie was very well thought out and very cohesive in terms with how something affects the next piece and so on.
Yeah.
The seabird. Like literally, I was sitting next to someone that used to be a sailor.
I was like, yes, that's amazing.
I was sitting next to someone that used to be a sailor, and the second they saw a seagull and like Rob Pattinson throwing stuff, they're like, "Oh, you don't kill a seabird." And then friggin' Willem Dafoe said it.
You're like, what the fuck?
Was this person wearing like a yellow rain slicker and like smoking a pipe in the theater?
Well, they also were like, "Oh, that's actually how you wear that hat," because most people in the like wear the hat that slicks off the rain like ridiculously, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that's this," and they were just going through like, "Oh yeah, this like."
Well, I mean, in The Witch,
This reminds me of my senior year of college.
Undertones and like all of the references and all of the like cohesiveness of, you know, the family being thrown out of the town and everything. I was sitting there like hitting Kyle the whole time, like, oh my god, this is this. He's like, I don't care, and I'm like, yeah, but like it's so accurate for something so long ago.
That sounds like a fun way to watch a movie.
Yeah. That's why he's leaving me for Joe. It's okay.
Yeah.
What, really? What?
Yeah.
Joe's like, hold on, I gotta go take a shower.
We'll watch Lords of Chaos and I'll do the same thing to him.
Oh, Euronymous.
Cece's gonna be in a bear, and Joe's gonna be wearing the flower dress.
Wow.
Oh, poor Kyle.
That's a lot. Okay. I think that's gonna do it for the Lighthouse, guys. Would you recommend this, Cece?
Sure.
Joe?
Yeah, big thumbs up.
Adam?
1,000 times yes.
How about your people? Would your people recommend it?
The people of Nova Scotia would probably say, yeah, no, it's good. It's a good movie from Yarmouth.
Okay, very nice. Make sure you give me that
Also,
Christmas tree, okay? It's
Victoria's Funny,
almost
the
time here.
mermaidism.
I'm sure people from Yarmouth are gonna go down and be like, "That's where the mermaid vagina was.
Just-
A hole in right in that rock."
I like to think that they'll commemorate it with like a bronze plaque that's like lovingly recreated of just that
Oh.
part, you know? Just like
Maybe Avril Lavigne will dedicate it. It'll be great.
God.
Shania Twain will come out.
Yeah.
Shania Twain, the best Canadian country singer ever. There
We
you go.
don't have many.
Possibly. Yeah.
All right, guys. Let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
There's a storm at sea,
You're all gonna die.
and it's blowing terror to the Big Apple. Now, the only safe place to be
You are dead meat. Yo, man, it's cool. It's cool, man. It's cool.
is out of town. Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Rated R. Starts Friday, July 28th at theaters everywhere.
This is Jeremy Gardner. I'm the writer, director, star of The Battery, and you're listening to Bloody Good Horror.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
And we're back. Joe,
Yeah, what's up, man?
I did see a trailer actually that I wanted to talk about. Gretel and Hansel.
Wait,
Mhm.
what? Oh, yes, I have seen
So
that.
this is by Oz Perkins, who did The
Yes.
Black Coat's Daughter. He also did I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks really neat.
Mhm.
It looks cool.
I'm really excited about it. I also really like Oz Perkins. The Black Coat's Daughter was so good.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Wait a
Look
minute.
at this photograph.
Wait a minute. Is this who Oz Perkins is? This guy?
Joe, do I have to give your nickel back?
Oh, never mind. Different.
Oh, Oz Perkins was he's the voice of Yoda. He was the puppet guy.
He's the weird-looking guy in Legally Blonde.
Yes.
Mm.
info@bloodygoodhorror.com. Joe, we have an email from someone. I'm not sure if you remember them. Do you remember
Oh.
Mark?
Mark doesn't ring a bell.
No? Okay. He says he wanted to send in thoughts because he saw this movie.
Oh, all right.
He addresses it, Dear Long Lost Lovers.
Hmm.
Hey, it's me. First of all, I wanted to congratulate John on another fantastic science-based show. Not only was I impressed by how rock solid the final list ended up, but I especially loved that everyone got their own individual attention. I also loved that if you sneezed while the #1 film of the decade was being hastily announced, you would have thought it was It Follows based on how much Eric talked about the fact that it was his #1. No,
Still-
we're going to skip this section right here. That's fine.
I still like John's reveal of the #1 was complete bullshit.
It
Okay.
overlooked a large group of people.
It it was Chris just, like, mumbled, and then he tried to toss it to Eric to play the outro music. Like,
He was ready, man. He had it done and it's time to go.
I want to be honest, I wasn't really paying attention at that point, so I didn't really catch that. Mark goes on, beyond that, I'm happy to announce that I had my first BGH listener neckbeard moment that had me audibly what the effing in the car when both Eric and John emphatically stated that Danny McBride was in Prometheus, when that is in fact completely false. The more
Ooh.
things change, ...
Alien Covenant.
Anyways, the real reason I'm writing is to tell you how much I enthusiastically and without irony love The Lighthouse. Truth be told, I don't listen to the show a lot, not because I don't miss you and not because I simply prefer the sound of my own voice, but because I usually want to see the movie first, which doesn't happen a lot lately. That said, I was really motivated to see Lighthouse as soon as it came out, and I was so glad that I did. It's probably not an objectively better film than The Witch. I might disagree on that, but that's fair. I think you could make an argument for either one.
What is objectively better?
Yeah, that's true. But I was so shocked and surprised at just how bonkers it ended up being and funny on top. I imagine I'll be quoting it to perplexed normies for a very long time. Between this and The Shape of Water, it's been a great 2 years for whatever the fish equivalent of furries are. Scalies? Question mark. Anywho, I love and miss you, and as always, I'm sick of you goddamn fats, always and forever. Mark, and then in parentheses he writes who? Question mark. He said that's his new favorite. He enjoys that joke, Joe. So he listened to last week.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I was following my daughter around the house today, asking her why she spilt her beans.
Why'd you spill your beans?
Why'd you spill your beans? Eventually, she looked like she was gonna cry and beg me to stop.
Love that. I love that scene where he's like,
Good parenting.
Yeah,
it's like
great.
it's
Father of the year.
It's kind of
Hey.
funny at first, but he repeats it, and it's almost this like tortured lament of just like, why'd you spill your beans? It's like,
It's
brutal.
very. I don't know when's the last time you guys have been on Pirates of the Caribbean, but it's very like Dead Man Tell No Tales. They just like loop it over and over again. And honestly, like I'm not even goofing. Like that's exactly what it reminded me of. Like you're in kind of like this dreamy state, and like they're just kind of playing it in
Yeah.
the background. Like
it's
it
wild.
was very well done. Yeah.
Rhiannon, did you guys do an episode on Black Swan? Question mark. I'm gonna say yes, but I actually messaged Monica to see if she could tell me when it was, but I haven't heard back from her because I just did it. So I'm sure she'll hit me back at some point.
I think you guys did. I know I wasn't on it, but I remember you guys doing one. We could probably just look at the site also. Like that's a thing.
Okay, so this is kind of an interesting email. So this is from Adam. Adam says,
Not me.
hey all, different Adam. I wrote in last year after the 500 episode anniversary to say how much I appreciated BGH not being a bunch of MAGA chuds. Eric, you read it out loud, and I really appreciated that. Keep up that good work. I will never miss an opportunity to say that out loud. Anyways, I was out of the country when Midsummer came out. I read the rave reviews and decided I would wait to watch the movie on Halloween. It was amazing. After watching, I queued up episode 530 to hear the BGH take. In general, I thought it was a great breakdown, but one sentiment did spin my head a little. A lot of you seem to have a pretty sympathetic position on Harga, the commune. At one point, Cece even said, quote, I don't think what these people are doing is bad. I mean, it's a religion. Record scratch? What? I mean, some pretty shitty stuff happens in the name of religion on the daily. I'm not as witchy as Cece, but I have a place in my heart for paganism and being eco-conscious. I get the initial appeal of this utopian village where everyone has a purpose and they care for each other, and there's a lot of cool ritualistic accoutrement there. But at the end of the day, the folks at Harga lie to a bunch of outsiders, lull them into a false sense of security, and then straight up murder them. And arguably, that's probably a little spoiler. Midsummer.
This dude is mansplaining cults.
Midsummer works.
No, I mean,
No.
hey,
There's more.
I
There's more.
wholeheartedly
There's
will
more.
say that yes, I do not agree with what they're doing,
No,
but
I think
I
we-
meant in the conversation that you could argue that they didn't think what they were doing was wrong, also because it was in the name of religion. Not that I support that.
No, I mean, there was a lot of it from my side too. With me, it was like, I think a semi-ironic take on how much of a garbage fire the world is these days. So like,
Right.
in comparison, I think I might take throwing myself off a cliff at 72 or whatever in exchange for all the support. It's just so supportive. So I think, listen, it was semi-joke, but also like a flight of fancy to think like, oh, it's so sunny there. It looks nice.
It did look nice.
He goes on, Midsummer works on
Grass
so
is
many
always greener.
levels. Midsummer works on so many levels, but this is one I've always found interesting. It's very much a movie about cult recruitment, and in the horror community, it's easy to see the obvious evils of the cults that code as black-robed Satanists or dour Christian zealots. Midsummer shows us that a community of nature-worshipping hippies with plentiful drugs, top-notch floral arrangements, and excellent baking skills, #PewDiePie, can also incubate murderous religious zealotry. Just my 2 cents. Still thought that it was a great episode. Thanks for being you and all your great work, Adam.
Yeah.
It's my favorite YouTuber, PewDiePie.
PewDiePie. I heard the kids love PewDiePie. Yeah.
She was my favorite Teletubby, PewDiePie.
No, and
That's the best.
I think we made that point though. That's like, look, there's a clear line where bad things happen in that movie, and they're doing bad things. But
Right.
yeah, I just still want to know how that guy paid to get into college. They don't have any money. That doesn't make any sense.
Tinky Winky,
Info.
PewDiePie, and Poe.
Info at bloodygoodhorror.com. Joe, we're also on Twitter.
Did you want to take a look at your top 10 list before we get
let's
to
do it.
tweets
Oh
here?
boy, this is gonna be a tough one. We're getting that time of year.
Yeah, I mean you've got a full 10 here. If you want me to read it off.
Yeah, let's go. Do it.
You've got Climax, It Chapter 2, Midsummer, Us, Ready or Not, The Wind, Lords of Chaos, Happy Death Day to You, Ma, and Zombieland 2.
Meh.
You can bump. You can. Oh, what's my number? Oh god, this hurts my head. What's my number 6?
Your number 6 is The Wind, then Lords of Chaos, Happy Death
The Wind's
Day,
really good.
Ma.
Yeah, I love The
Zombieland
Wind.
2.
So The Wind is like, it's so frustrating because The Wind is a movie where in any other year, I would like sneak that up my list just to give like an indie movie a lot of love because there's just something really beautiful about that movie. But like legit, there are maybe 6 movies this year that I would have put at number 1 any other year, and it's like killing me trying to like rank them. Put this above The Wind and just bump Zombieland to make Cece happy.
Hey,
Somebody was really upset last week that I put it in my top 10. I think it was Cece. I don't know.
I don't remember that I put it on. Okay.
I know maybe
Sure.
you weren't on that
I'll take
episode.
that.
Maybe you weren't there.
I don't even remember last week. So
Rosario
sure.
Dawson just cried a
I
I
lot.
know. I mean, I
know.
love Rosario Dawson, so maybe that was the only thing I loved about the movie. I don't know.
Look
is-
at
what is
this
life?
photograph.
They're Canadian
Oh.
too, aren't they?
Yes, he said that earlier.
Oh, I didn't.
Lord,
He wasn't listening.
Totally missed that.
good Lord.
Whatever.
Uh,
Drink your Canadian drink over there, Adam.
Call that here.
Georgia.
Each on it. Aw.
Wow.
I appreciate the long distance wink.
all right. We want to do some tweets.
Sure.
Tweets.
We monitor one hashtag and one hashtag alone, and that is the Ask BGH tag. That's every week. If you want to shoot in a question, get in on the fun, we do that. Not a ton tonight, so we can whip right through these. First up from Chris Aleonte. He asks, will there be a follow-up Ask BGH where you read all the salty comments about missing people's specific favorites, the How Could You special? I'm not sure what that means.
Oh, I think he's talking about the list, the year of list, or the decade list, which I would say we already had that discussion on Slack about missing people's favorites.
Oh, yes, yeah, this was in reply to our the top 25 list.
Speaking of Lamentations.
All right, next up from our good friend Lori, that's Nylon
Well,
Davinger.
I wanted to mention, Joe, you last week you gave a bunch of people on Slack a complex about people that were arguing to get stuff on the list. I think
really?
I think there were people genuinely worried that they had upset you and John.
Oh, I don't care. I mean, those degenerates can go do whatever the hell they want.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's fine, guys. It's all right.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Lori writes in, I'm suffering from Halloween hangover. I need suggestions on how to incorporate spooky into Thanksgiving. Christmas has its ghosts and Krampus, excluding plague-ridden blankets. It's tough to make Puritans and turkeys scary. Any ideas?
I could have sworn that I've
Thanksgiving
seen.
itself is very terrifying.
It's terrifying right there.
And I mean, actually, if you want to go movie-wise, there is a new movie on Hulu called Pilgrim
Oh,
that is very
Oh.
Thanksgiving-based.
Nice.
Or you can watch Poltergeist because it talks about how white Americans took over indigenous land and then decided to
Girl.
haunt them
I
like they
s-
rightfully should.
You know how the new like lazy Halloween decoration at Target is always just like, here's a whole row of just bone and like animal skeletons. Like it's like the
Yeah.
laziest bullshit
All
every
the
year.
dead turkeys.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen a turkey. I'm pretty sure I've seen a skeleton turkey. So there you go.
honestly, those Charlie Brown, there's Thanksgiving. Those things creep the fuck out of me. Like, there's super like Jesus undertones that I don't really care for
Charlie,
going on.
for wait, who you said Charlie Brown?
Like the specials.
Yeah, the
Oh.
peanuts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
yeah.
That's terrifying.
But
John Candy killed his wife and then brought her across the states.
nobody likes Peanuts. The Peanuts gang. Like,
No.
I feel like everyone gets all jazzed for that Halloween one, and it's fucking god awful. Nobody likes it. It's like the Twinkies of a Halloween special. Like, everyone says how much they love it, but nobody actually likes it.
It's an okay pumpkin.
And what's the deal with airplane food?
What's the deal?
What's the deal?
Next up from our good friend Tammy Barge. That's CO_W Flanagan. Here we go. Just woke up a sweet reelin' one and had to ask, which universal monster do you think would break your back hard AF? I know you boomers will say Wolfman, but the mummy could go all night. All night. Plus, he's distinguished AF,
God,
like
that's a
some
great
Mather
question.
podcasters I know.
I mean, we all saw The Shape of Water, right? It's got to be like the creature.
I was gonna say the creature
It's
because I
horny
feel
as
like
hell.
the mummy, like there would be a lot of lube involved, and that gets
Oh, yeah.
so weird.
A lot of dust.
That
A lot of
creature,
Yeah, a
dirt.
that
lot of
creature
dust.
is so horny, and it really remains to be seen if Frankenstein's all of his parts are in working
Yeah.
order.
I feel like unfortunately he's probably a Ken doll because
Or
just
like
get around to it.
He got that bride though.
I mean, you could just put
Yeah,
like
but she left him. Why do you think
True.
she left him?
you
no
could
baby.
just you could just
no
put
baby
like
Frankenstein.
for all we know, there's just an arm down there.
Everything's singed. All right, and then last one from our good friend Roger. That's Robale. Food in Defoe's beard. Funny, cool, or gross?
When I say method acting, like just so disgusting.
Look,
Yeah.
I love beards all day long, but ooh, like mashed up food in the beard is no, thank you.
It takes a lot to watch you. You don't like me lobster.
Who do you
That's
sound
it,
like,
Eric.
Joe? You're doing a thing, like a character I recognize, and I can't put my finger on it.
It's more Irish, I think, than it is.
Yes. Okay. Yes, that's what I'm picking up. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like a different vibe. I like it though. Irish sea captain. I'm sure they're an island, right? They had sea captains.
Yeah. A lot of semen.
Sure.
All the season.
Look at this photograph.
Next up, guys. Next week, we're back in the theater for Doctor Sleep.
My
Doctor
favorite Muppet.
Feel Good. It's a great song.
Thanks.
He's the one they call Doctor Feel. Doctor Sleep in the theaters. It's The Shining 2, basically. So there you go. And then I don't know what we're doing. We got a whole list of shit, and then we have some video picks that we got to catch up with before year-end lists.
Our year end's coming up soon.
Yeah, so we're in November already. Year-end's usually late December, so we've got like a handful of shows left.
It's almost over. And then we're calling it a day on the show. Have we announced that yet?
All right, guys. We will be back next week, despite what Joe says. That's going to do it for the Lighthouse. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Boy, waiting you a different story.
Bye-bye.